So when we look at this, we see loading file, please wait, right? So which means it didn't actually complete, or did it? Maybe it didn't complete the load process. So let's inspect and go to our console and see if there are any errors, and sure enough there are. So that's why. So here say undefined variable email on line 260. Let's start with that. Usually if you deal with the first error, it gets rid of a lot of errors down the road. So let's start with the first one. So here it's saying, what is it saying again? Undefined variable email. Oh, sorry, here we're supposed to use my email. Wait a minute, no, this is supposed to be emails, because this is the array that we want to get from. So my bad there. Let me delete all of this and refresh one more time. Let's see. Okay, so there we go. Things are looking up. Mary still has access to this, but shouldn't have access to this. And no files found, which is great. No access there either. So we come back here, refresh, and that works. Now let me try and log out from Mary's account. That way I have no login details anyway. So if I refresh, I get nothing. If I refresh, I get nothing. But let's see the files that are public in this case. Do I get access to those? Just to be sure. So this one looks like it's public, just like this one. So let's go and have a preview there. So that's the file. Now if I log out, let's see if I still have access, and indeed I do. This one I don't, this one I don't. So things are working as intended. Everything good. There's something I forgot though. Something I was thinking about a second ago, but I forgot. Oh yeah, if you don't have access, there's if you look at this link to the download button, right? So let's say this file right here, I can copy the download link, right? And if I just know the ID of the file, I might be able to download it. So if I go to here and log out, so you see I don't have access to this file anymore. But if I paste my direct link, oh, please log in to download files. Oh, okay. So this is a problem actually, because this is a free file which I definitely won't be able to download. If I click on that, please log in to download. So that's an issue we have to fix. Okay, so there's this part here that allows me to check file access, right? So this is all good, but the problem is I can't use this wait a minute, row success. The problem is I can't use this on the download side. I need to convert this to an actual function. That way I can reuse it multiple times if I want to check for access. So the first thing I need to do is get rid of information I don't need. Like for example, the success is equal to false here. I can simply add that down here. I just check if row is empty, and then I say success is false, for example. So I can say if not row, like that, then I can put success is equal to false. That way it doesn't have to be part of this segment. So I can remove that from everywhere here, and even there as well. Okay. Also, we can find a way to deal with this row thingy. We can say if not row, like that. Let me do this. Oh, wait a minute. I can say info row okay, wait a second here. So what I'm trying to do is I want to convert this into a standalone function. So let me grab all of this. This can be a confusing process for a bit, but I'm looking for where the switch statement ends, and it ends there. Okay, so that's good. Let me move all of this here up to there, check file access. I'm gonna copy that. Okay, so I won't delete it just yet, but what I want to do is make a function. So let's see, where are all the functions? It's good to put them in one place. The functions are at the top, are they? No, we have a functions page over here. Okay, so that's better. So what I'm going to do is create a function here. Let me make it maybe after this, no problem. So I'm going to say function check file access, like so. Okay, and then I'm going to paste that information. So let me move it closer to where I need it, like this. Okay, so I put a switch statement in here. In fact, this went a bit too far. Let me move this one step forward. Okay. All right, so there's all this stuff that we are looking at. So check file access. So of course, if I'm checking the file access, I'll need the file row. So let me put row here as the first thing to add. Okay, so this covers all of this. But what about this user ID? What is this user ID? User ID is equal to row user ID. So which means I need the current user's user ID. So that's not a big deal. We can grab that from here. So I can move this to the top. Now we can do this because session is a global variable, so we can use it from anywhere in our code. So this is fine. Let's do that. So that cutters for that. So user ID is equal to 0. Now here, instead of info row, because we don't have access, the less things we import, the better. The better our function will, the better the portability of our function. So we can easily move it to another project and it will work. The less things we have to import there. That makes it more self-contained. So this thing we are equating to false, instead of saying info row is equal to false, which is the action we take if we don't have access, we shouldn't limit this. Instead, what we do is we just tell it to return a false, like that, right? And say return false, meaning things didn't go very well. And at the very end here, we can say return true. Though I don't like this, you know, usually I like to return false and sorry, to return false by default. That way I deny access outright and then give access specifically. So this is called whitelisting as opposed to blacklisting. So here again we'll do return false, shared to public. Here we return true. Like that. So if it's shared to the public, it always returns true, because then we know even this here, we don't need that. We can say instead of if row is, yeah, actually, because we'll not be dealing with row, so this whole thing here is irrelevant. So all of this turns to return false, like that. Okay, so we exit the function with false. And what else? Okay, so in this case, private, if return false, we should actually negate these, but I don't want to go into the mechanics of the if statements. So all I'm going to do is just put else and say return true. Okay, if it's not whatever is in here, then true makes sense. What else? Wait, if user ID is not equal to user ID, return false. If user ID is equal to 0, actually we can simplify this. Just this is enough, because already this is 0 and this may not be 0. So I'm just going to do this. If this is equal to this one, then return true. So that was easy enough. Reduce the code. Okay. The rest of this I don't want to bother too much. Query. Query is a function that works everywhere, so this is fine as well. What else? Return false, return false. There has to be a return true somewhere here. So we're changing things now to give access instead of denying access. So if emails, first of all, if user ID is equal to that, then let's return true. Let me change this a little bit. So if that, let's return true. Okay, meaning you own that. Otherwise, if it's not, let's go to the else statement, grab the email list from there, and then say if in array. So instead of the not, let's do that, and say if in array, then return true. Okay, great. And then if there's no email list, only allow user. So here I'm going to change that to if this is equal, and then true. So it should be hard to get a return true. That's why we have to put the return true in these if statements, so that it's harder to get, but very easy to get a false, because if none of this at the top happens, then we automatically get false. Here we return true, here return false. Okay, I think this actually works. So this is the function now I'm going to need, and I will need to supply the row of the document. So if we come back here, where were we? This is the part here, check file access. So I'm going to do this instead. Do that, like so. Okay, I've replaced all of that switch statement. So here we say check file access. So we have all of these. This is true, everything is good. Then here I'm going to say access is equal to, in fact we can just put an if statement and say if check file access. So if it returns true, then everything is fine, but if it returns false like that, then we can put false on these two like that. Okay. Now remember that here we have to supply the row itself, so I'm going to put that there like so. Okay, so that simplifies things now. Check file access. Now the reason I've done this is so that even I can use this function even in the download section here to avoid having to copy that code. So that's the beauty of functions. So if I go to the download page here, and here it says sorry that file was not found. If row over here, if row is something, first we check the file access. Okay, so if we did find that, let's put an if statement for file access. So then I can do an else like this, and then put everything inside that else statement like so. Okay, or we could say if check file access like that, and then put the else statement below this, like so. Let me move this whole thing above. Okay, so if file access is right, this is okay, else this is what we see. So instead of saying file was not found, we can say sorry, you don't have access to that file. Something like this. That way they can ask the user, the owner, and say, oh, please give me access or something. Okay, I think that does it. So let's test this for now and see if things work. So if I now refresh, I get this. Let me try and download it. Please log in to download. Why does it keep saying that? Where is the please log in to download? Okay, so please log in to download should not be a thing anymore. So we don't need to require that, right? So also it's possible that this will not exist. So let's put contingencies, put a 0 there like that. And then we don't need to specifically ask for the user ID when reading the file. We just need the file ID. That way, even if it's not your file, you can still download it. Okay. So now let's refresh and everything seems fine. Let's click download and we're able to download it. So let me see which files I have access to. This one I don't. What about this? Okay, let's log in here just to get the... So this file over here, this one here, only Mary has access outside the owner. So I'm going to copy that download link, log out, and then try to download this file, even this one here. And wait, I managed to download this. Let me try this one here, and it worked. So that is not good at all, because I am not logged in and those are not public files, so they shouldn't be downloadable at this point. So what is happening here? If check access, sorry, you don't have access to the file. So this is working against us. So back to functions here. Let's see what's going on. Let's see, share mode for those is here. Okay, it's case 1. So selector from shared, blah blah blah. If user ID here is equal to row user, so that's not the point here. How about here? Okay, so what I want to see is where this if statement is going. So I'm just gonna put die over here and see if it doesn't work. So it still works, so it doesn't go there. What about this other one? This one still works, so that's not good at all. What exactly is happening here? Okay, let me go back to the download.php for a moment, and I don't want to do the download thing, I just want to echo. Say here we are. Let me see if it goes through there. Oops. There we go. So at least we get some errors now. So undefined array key my drive user on line 7. Okay, so there's some errors here. Okay, so the reason it's doing that is because I have this int here. So let me remove this int over there. And what I can do is put those after. Okay, something like this. Because here, if it doesn't exist, I was trying to to cast it to an int even though it doesn't exist. So that's why we get those errors. So let's see what more errors we get. So undefined array key share mode on line 145. This is in the functions 145, 145. Where is that? Okay, so it doesn't know what share mode is. But why is that? That's weird. Where was I getting this row from? No, I get this from the row, right? Let's go to download here. Ah, right. Okay, so I see what's going on here. It's because of the way the query function works. I need to use the query row function there because I'm grabbing one row as opposed to many. That's why I'm using this here, which I completely forgot about. So let me just remove that, and let me go ahead here and use the query row function like that. That should solve the problems. Okay, sorry you don't have access. Okay, so things are working as intended now. Let's get back. Let me try now. Sorry you don't have access. I should get the same thing here. Great. Now if I come here, refresh, no files, refresh, no files. Very good. Let me see if I am Mary. What prizes do I get? Okay. So I know that Mary has access to this file here, the image. Great. But not this one. No. Okay, that's good. So which means I should at least be able to download one of these. This one, no. But this one I should. And there it is. Okay, so everything is working accordingly to plan. What about if I log out completely? Not that one, but this one I should still have access. Let me try and download it, and there it is. So everything is working accordingly to plan. All right, this is good. I'll see you in the next video.